record. Right, couple of updates. So I've changed your check-in forms only a little teeny tiny bit, but what keeps happening, just to give you the context on how it goes. So everybody does their check-ins, or most of you actually. I have to say, the majority of you are doing, as in it's like 98% at the minute, which is amazing, and keep that up. That's what we want. But what's happening is we will then do the feedback, give you your feedback, and then you'll come back going, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention X, Y, and Z, which is really fucking important. Like stuff that is imperative that can either tell us what's going on, or it might be that you're saying, oh, I've now got this on next week. How would you best navigate that? So then we're trying to give you feedback for the upcoming week, and you've missed half of what's coming up out of your upcoming week. So I have now put a question in that says something along the lines of, do you have anything coming up next week? It's really that simple that we need to strategize on. So if there is, now I'm talking, it might be birthdays, friends' birthdays, family events. It could be anything, but just anything that you think, oh, I might need a bit of steer on this. Or it might be that you have oh God, come on, words, like an event or something, more like a fitness event that you're doing, or a half marathon that you want to kind of understand, like carb loading or anything. Just try and make us aware. Because what we don't want to do is miss the information, or potentially you might go, oh, it's this weekend, and then because we've already done the feedback and then we've moved on to the next client, then I might not get back to it in time for the actual thing happening, and then it's kind of like post feedback. I'm like, oh God. So yeah, so pay attention to that one. Also, get fucking honest, guys. When there is the box that says, do you need anything else from me? And you say, no, I'm all. Sorry, I'm just going to mute with that. And you all say, no, I'm all good. And then you're not all good. It's like, just tell us. Do you know what I mean? Again, we can work with what we know. We're not mind readers. And we obviously go through it every single Monday. And again, we're trying to read between the lines and see what's going on and whatever it might be. But if you actually go, God, I think I'm really struggling in this area. And just for context, we do cover a lot of different areas, and this could be even simple things like I'm going for a job interview next week and I'm a little bit nervous or something like that. I'm a little bit worried that could derail me, or it could literally be things that are going on in your life that we might want to step in on and go, right, okay, this is how I would handle it in your situation. So even things that you think, right, okay, I just want them to be aware of, but also we can celebrate that fucking win. If it all comes good and it all comes off, do you know what I mean? Like, let us know what's going on in your life. It's like, we're here for it. We want to get to know you guys as personally as we possibly can, because it does make a massive difference to your journeys. What else? Holidays, dates, please send them to us. Like, not what you can do it right now if you want to do it right now, but if you know you're working towards particular dates, and that's kind of quite an important metric, an important thing, because again, we're going to want to move that needle in the right place, or we might be looking to go, right, we're going to start a mini cut, or we're going to dig in a bit harder here, or we might want the reverse up to a certain point by this point, or we might just want to make sure you back the fuck on it as soon as you get back. So let us know those dates. And again, you might not be checking in. That's absolutely fine. Like, that's your prerogative, your choice. But we'd just rather know so that we can actually, because we put all the pieces of data go into a system so we can see and foreplan. I'm glad I'm keeping you up, Mandy. Cracks me up. People yawn all the time when I do. I just find it really funny. I just outed you there, sorry. It's because there's only a few of you that are ever on video. So if you guys do anything, I see it because you're the ones that I'm looking at. But yeah, so send holiday dates through, please. That's mega, mega helpful for us to see. Let me just move my fathom. Sorry, I'm still muting people. Yeah, that's helpful. Hoodies are on their fucking way. I'm going to collect them tomorrow morning. Jesus Christ. This is why I don't do merchandise. Like we've done it a few times, a few different businesses, and I swear to God, it is the bane of my life. But I shall be turning those around to those of you that ordered them this week. If you've no idea what I'm talking about, we're only going to do them in like tranches. So there will be future opportunities to order, but this is like the first batch we are getting out. So they will be with you this week. I assume the post will go quickly enough, I imagine. So yeah, look out for those. Right. Shout outs. So Dobby, CrossFit competition, hit loads of PBs, which is amazing. Don't know if you're on or not, because I've got a few of you that just say first names or iPhone. So I'm like, you might be, you might not be. I can't tell from this. But Amy, well done, absolutely amazing. Yo, she is here. Can't tell if you're Amy or Amy iPhone. Because like I say, I'm like, oh, there's a couple. Yeah, amazing. And I'm not sure if you just sent the photos to us actually, but literally right as I was going to come on. Who else have we got? Claire, 10K charity walk as well. That's also amazing. So well done. Well done to you guys for I love it when people do like the extracurricular kind of anything that's going towards your health and fitness. Like it's always going to be beneficial. So love it. Right, bear with. Whoo, breathe. I'm going to share my slides. Hang on, this button. Where are we? Hang on. Let me make sure I've got the right screen up so I can actually find it. Not that one. Oh, for the love of God. There's so many pop-ups coming up. I'm like, this is not freaking helpful. Hang on. I'm By the way, one thing I am looking at is potentially moving over to Teams. You know what I'm like with technology. It's going to take me about a month to work out what I'm actually doing. So you're just going to have some patience. Right. Make it massive. Am I big on your guys' screens, by the way? Am I? Well, no, I might not be now because the slides are on. But I want to make sure that you can see me, not just all of you guys. But I think I might have done that too late. But I'm trying to work that out as well. Right, so menstrual cycle. So I want to talk through kind of all angles of this. So, as in, and when I'm talking about the menstrual cycle here, I'm going to go through like a normal natural cycle. I'm going to go through women who are on the contraceptive pill because that is completely different. I'm going to talk through women who are on HRT, which is completely different, and women who are not on HRT but going through the perimenopause or the menopause. So there are so many different sections to this. And pregnancy, by the way, is another fucking one because that's completely different. Yet again, I probably actually liken it the hardest to perimenopause without HRT because I've got no control over my fucking hormones right now. So we have two phases. Now, I do want you guys to take this with a slight pinch of salt because I don't love it when everything is kind of like, oh, well, I'm in this phase, so therefore, ooh, or I'm in that phase, and then, ooh, I'm a bit like, no, guys, this is like you can't write off 50% of the damn year because for half of the time you're going to be in one phase or another. It's kind of just accepting that this is a bit of our lives. We are women, we are going to go through this. And like I said, we're going through so many different hormonal changes depending on where you're at in life that we kind of just have to slightly muck in and accept. But it's just about learning what could be going on. So, first 5 days, obviously, that we count in a menstrual cycle. Now, I'm going to base this on a 28-day cycle. I actually learned while falling pregnant that I only have a 26-day cycle. I never fucking knew my entire life. I just know I've bled every single month and I never thought anything of it. And then it was like, oh, okay. Apparently, mine's a bit shorter. Some of you guys, especially if you're kind of more in the, like, if anyone, PCOS, endometriosis, you might be on the later end. So you might be more like up to kind of a 35-day cycle. So again, it's just about understanding your cycle. Going to be a lot harder to track if you are on any kind of hormonal contraception. That is going to be a little bit harder to be able to work it out. But hopefully, you might have been off contraception for long enough to kind of know where your cycle is anyway. But I'm just going to use a 28-day cycle. It is the most common out of everyone that, yeah, all the women on the planet, basically. So, first 5 days typically, and again, 5 days give or take, is your period. That is what we're counting, but that takes place in the follicular phase. Okay, then what happens is the second half, we're going to move into the luteal phase. So, the follicular phase, you are going to notice a little bit of a gradual strength increase. So it's reaching its peak right before you ovulate, okay? But then as you start, I actually find that during my period, I'm not too bad. Maybe the first couple of days, I'm a bit like, but I think that's just everything that's going on when you actually do bleed. Luteal phase, strength training initially remains high post ovulation, but gradually declines as the progesterone rises, which can lead to fatigue and reduced endurance. So it's just worth knowing that sometimes when you think, oh God, I'm struggling a bit more to lift what I did last week, this could be a part of it. There could be other parts. It could be lack of sleep. It could be stress. It could be, I don't know, you might have restricted your carbs too heavily the night before. You might not have put enough carbs into your body for that training session. There could be other clues, but it could also be a little bit hormonal as well. So, as estrogen rises, it is going to increase your energy, your strength potential, and motivation. So, you are going to feel a little bit more like clued into this. So, if you want to be going for those PBs, we kind of want to be doing it in that kind of latter phases of the cycle, but doesn't always work out that way. Do you know what I mean? I might give you a new training program. And ideally, as we go through it, we want to be lifting heavier or doing more reps. We want to be progressively overloading. You might think, fuck, I can't physically give any more. I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm at the point in my cycle where I want to be hitting a PB or vice versa. And you've just got a brand new program. And it's like, do you know what I mean? And it is what it is. We're never going to be able to do that perfectly in line. So, like I say, that progesterone increase, you're going to have that decreased energy, slightly higher fatigue, water retention. Everyone knows, and this is why we ask you guys to track it with your weight and do those daily check ins, especially if you're not on any kind of hormonal contraception or hormonal changes at all. This is why we're going to ask for those daily check-ins, because we want you to learn when is my water weight going to come in for my period, because it does make a difference and you will feel it and you'll see it, but we don't always correlate that to what's going on in the weighing scales, and we must accept that that can impact. But slightly lower tolerance for higher intensity workouts, so you might genuinely feel a little bit weaker. So I do not love cycle syncing. I do not love the concept of trying to train in line with your cycle and going, oh, I'm just going to have weaker days here and I'm going to have stronger days there, because there is too much individual variability. Every woman's cycle is completely unique. And just on that, sometimes you might not be able to train. If you're having a really heavy period and you really suffer, so I am talking to my PCOS and my endometrial girls here, if you really suffer, or you might not have even been diagnosed, but you might just have really, really heavy bleeds, and you need the rest more than you need the gym, that's also fine too. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, there are 7 days in a week. Ideally, and like a couple of those might be heavier bleeds, horrible days. But then we want to try and move away from that and go, right, okay, no, you know what? I can just push it back a day or two and I'll still be good. But hormone levels, symptoms, energy fluctuations, there's such a broad spectrum. So what works for one woman might not work for another. So generally speaking, I have always trained on my cycle. Steps also make me feel better personally, just getting out some low intensity movement. But for another woman, that might be completely debilitating. So day-to-day factors beyond the cycle. So this is where we're talking about, you might be thinking, oh, this is down to my cycle, but you might have had shit sleep. You might, like I say, your nutrition might not have been quite right. Your energy levels, your stress, all of these things. So if you try and cycle sync, but something else is actually the causation for why you feel like you've got lower energy, then you're doing it all wrong. You're looking at the wrong pieces of the puzzle. So again, this is why we kind of don't really want to do it. Mindset also, again, putting too much emphasis on this can it just creates unnecessary pressure. We want to focus on being a little bit flexible, adaptable and listening to our own body. And again, you're going to be completely different to another woman who's going to be completely different. We just got to figure out the right approach for you. Progress over perfection. So even if you feel like this might not be my best session, that's okay. That's cool. Sometimes you'll just feel better for going. Sometimes we're also training for other reasons, more like our mental health, or just to feel like we're getting away from like busy, stressful situations, or it might be that you've got young children and your training sessions are the only time that you actually get to yourself, or like sometimes it's for other reasons, and we don't need to be smashing PBs out of the park every single time. So that's fine too. So contraception is completely different. Okay, so I'm actually talking about, so when I talk about contraception, it's not just necessarily the pill. This could also be the Mirena coil. This could also be the implant. It could also be the butt injection, any kind of, essentially what it is. It's a bit like a HRT. It is a hormone replacement, but it's obviously doing different jobs as well. So that's what kind of what we're talking about. So it's a broader spectrum, but any kind of synthetic forms of estrogen and progesterone. So that it's overriding your natural cycle. A lot of the time, like you probably don't bleed at all, and you can back to back a lot of things, or it might prevent the bleed. Even if you do have a bleed, it's probably an artificial and not actually due to the fact that you're releasing an egg and ovulating. So it's an artificial version of that. So the reality is you will not get the same rise and fall in hormones as what you would on a natural cycle. So this is one benefit of taking contraception. Now, I'll be honest, and probably because I'm old now. Do you know? And some of you guys are going to be like, no, you're not. But do you know what I mean? I'm not 21 anymore, and truthfully, my body has always rejected hormones really horrendously. And I don't love this about the healthcare system, because I do think like it's so rare to hear of women not on contraception like hormones, isn't it? It's so fucking rare that it just feels like this came in, we just accepted that men don't ever want to wear a fucking condom or something, and then we're all just now going to completely change the makeup of our bodies. So I would try and recommend some breaks from hormonal contraception if it's feasible for you. I think again there can be some longer term implications of having it, and also to consider some of the time they put women onto these things because they're not looking at other things. Do you know what I mean? So they might go, oh, you get headaches a lot. And that's it. They said that to me when I was about 13, 14, started to get migraines with the stress of exams and school and everything else. And they were like, oh, she needs to go on the pill. And my mum was like, absolutely not. And what we did was look at stress reduction. Fucking guess what? That worked. It worked really well. So it's those kind of things to go, right, okay. And especially if you've got teenage daughters as well, that again, it's another conversation to be had, isn't it? And they basically thought I had cancer at one point when I went on the implant, and everything righted and it went perfect again as soon as I had it taken out. And then I said, right, I'm going to try the coil. I was happy to try that as an alternative method. And they were like, oh, we need to put you on the Mirena. And I was like, so you want to put me on the same chemical that's inside the fucking thing that you thought gave me cancer? Like, make it make sense, guys. And I was like, no, unless it's the copper coil, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in going through any of that again. And I did it. That worked really well for about 12, 14 years or something. So there are non-hormonal options available, basically, it's what I'm trying to get at. But it's your body. You know it better than anybody else. You know how it responds to things. So that's what we want to consider. But contraceptive pills, they are going to like give you more consistent levels of those synthetic hormones throughout the month. The steadier hormonal environment is reducing, so those peaks and dips you're not likely to get. So if you are using kind of the follicular and like basically the phases, and you're going, oh, this is the reason why, and you're on the fucking contraceptive pill, you're kind of full of shit. We will be quick to say that that's not true. Do you know what I mean? You need to kind of part that, and the weight fluctuations as well. they're not likely to happen for you. So you're not going to get that, oh, I'm due a bleed. That's why that will not happen. So yeah, you're not going to get those fluctuations. And we've kind of already talked about the bleed. It's not a typical bleed like somebody else would have, even if you do have it. Again, the dramatic shifts, I would say you might still notice a little bit, but I would generally speaking say that's probably down to environmental factors rather than actually because of the contraception. So just be mindful that in one sense you're in a great place because you're not going to get all of the other noise that's happening throughout the month as some of the other women. Pardon me. So perimenopausal women. So again, this is quite a big one. This is a big shift in hormones fluctuating. So the estrogen and progesterone levels are they're fluctuating, but so unpredictably. So one of the kind of first signs of whether you are likely to be moving into perimenopause is that change in your cycle. It usually suddenly you might have a bleed 1 month and you might not for a couple of months, and a few months go, and then you might have a really long bleed, and it's where it suddenly feels like it's a bit chaotic and you're no longer following like a structured cycle. I think there's something like 90 odd other symptoms. So low sleep, mood swings, feeling like you might be depressed, itchy earlobes, there are so many different ones. And my advice is if you feel like you could be coming into this, you need to learn what are the symptoms, because what the doctors will do is usually take a blood test. Now, 1 minute, your blood could be showing as, yes, this woman is perimenopausal. We need to do something about this and look at what we can do. And 1 minute later, your blood test might be completely normal. So that is not a reliable metric. And what they need to do is actually learn to communicate with women, but they can be really bad at it. And I've been talking to one of the women about this last week. They're not always very good at this. So it's just worth noting that it's something, such a small amount of the medical professionals training that actually they don't really know. And you might get a bit lucky if you happen to be opposite a woman who has been through the perimenopause and then she actually can empathize with your symptoms. But otherwise, unfortunately, you might find a bit of a battle on your hands. But again, you might feel that you are getting high energy and then massive fatigue. So this is where we might want to be a bit flexible. And I've worked with women before who are like, I cannot go on HRT, or they've had really bad family history of it, so they're not prepared to. We just might need to work around that. Again, you are going to have lower energy days. You might feel like your sleep is impacted, all of these different things. But this is where strength training is absolutely key. And I will have spoken to every single perimenopausal woman in the program about this. Like, this is kind of non-negotiable. Okay, so yes, often the fat loss, the meno belly, all of these things we want to try and like reduce and impact through the nutrition piece. But we do not want to be old, and we do not want to be frail, and we do not want to end up in care homes because we cannot fucking move. We don't want osteoporosis, right? We want to actually build this muscle up, and people are living longer as well. Don't forget, this is another impact. We haven't really had a generation of people live to be like 100 quite consistently. We are going to see that very, very soon with modern medication. And again, we're going to experience a lot of these women who didn't do the right things, and they're suddenly going to be like, oh, Jesus, you don't want to be one of them. If we're going to live longer, we want to be stronger. Okay, I might put that as my caption. So what's happening during the perimenopause and menopause? So estrogen becomes erratic, progesterone declines, testosterone can also decline, cortisol, which is your stress hormone, sensitivity increases, sleep quality, which is fucking key for everything, is often getting worse. You're getting fatigue, poor recovery, increased body fat storage, muscle loss, reduced motivation, brain fog, increased anxiety, stress, joint aches, poor sleep, reduced training performance. So these are things, isn't it a joy to be a woman? You know, when you go, oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Like my session this morning, it wasn't great. I couldn't lift anywhere near as heavy. I've got my hormonal spot on my nose, so I just know, I already know this is going to be one of those days. But in the middle of the night, when I was going for a wee, I could hardly move. I felt like I was made of lead, and I was like, oh God, how am I even going to get to the gym in the morning? I must have entered into enough deep sleep to recover me, like, but it must have been in the real like early hours of the morning, so I could get to the gym. That is the sleep piece. That is the piece that we desperately need to try and work on. And if you're perimenopausal, menopausal, that is going to be key to just keeping you fucking alive. Do you know what I mean? Keeping you going. My mouse is frozen. So HRT can make a massive difference. Now, it can be challenging, okay? And one thing I will say is, and I know some of you guys are going through this at the minute, um, hormones can change. So you could find the perfect HRT balance, which is hormone replacement therapy. For anyone that doesn't know, it comes in lots of different forms. You could find the perfect cocktail, and then everything could change. And then you suddenly go, fuck, this is really shit again. And then you kind of have to go back through the process of trying to find the right thing again. Or if you're brand new to that process, please expect that it might not be perfectly beautiful and sorted overnight, okay? It might take a period of time. But again, some women might not need it. Like my mum at the minute, she's perimenopausal. And I just don't think we like hormones. I don't know what it is about us. And she's like, no, I don't need anything. And she's not really got that many severe reactions. But I could guarantee if she went on a HRT, they would probably think she had cancer. Do you know what I mean? There are clues in what happened throughout your life and what you react to. And even giving that advice, going, right, when I was on the contraception pill, this worked really well for me. It might be that they can actually guide you a little bit better. So this is it. There is a whole host of different things, different levels, different ways, different things that they're going to do for you, but it can help to reduce symptoms. It can help to improve your quality of life, support long-term health, create more hormonal stability. It is not the answer, unfortunately, to losing the menobelly. It is not the answer to making sure that we live long and strong. Like, it's not going to do any of those things. It's just going to hopefully allow you to function better day to day as a human being who deserves to be able to function. So we have to do the strength training, the adequate protein, plus the HRT. That's where you can get an incredibly powerful combination if you need the HRT for maintaining muscle, improving confidence, improving metabolic health, and independence later on in life. So, like I say, this is a holistic approach. We need all of the pieces of the puzzle to be a good 80+% of the way there, and then we can actually start making progress. So, we've just got to move the right needles. But a natural cycle, your hormones fluctuate, but it is predictable. Contraceptive pill, synthetic hormones, they are suppressing ovulation. Again, quite good predictability. Perimenopause, hormones are fluctuating unpredictably. Menopause, the hormones are declining significantly, so you are going through a little bit of a crash. It's not as steep as the pregnancy crash, though. That's like when you give birth, about 5 days later, it's like your hormones go poof because they've been sky high and they drop off a cliff. And any one of you guys that's given birth will remember, I'm sure, how that felt. So the good news is perimenopause is, I don't know if it's worse, it's longer and drawn out, probably more painful because it's longer and drawn out. But HRT hormones are supported and hopefully stabilized once you're in that kind of got it sorted category. So, like I say, it's a joy to be a woman. But that's kind of what we can expect from that side of things. And again, if you're on HRT, it probably puts you more in that kind of contraceptive pill category within reason. But it depends. I do coach a lot of women that when they're in like the progesterone phase, they're like, I am definitely weaker. I am a snackier, sallier. Like, do you know what I mean? So again, these are things that we want to navigate, and these are things that we want to know in your check-in. Where are you at? So there's a question. I might need to change it. It says, where are you at in your menstrual cycle? A lot of you guys, right, I don't have one because I'm perimenopausal. actually that box would be great to say this is where I'm at if you are changing those hormones throughout the month. That again, it might give us some steer to go, okay, you are going to be hungrier. You are going to feel a certain way because of that. So that can be really helpful as well. Right, I've yammered on again. Try and stop me, guys. Any questions? Anything? Let me just bring up the chat box. Oh, my nose is running. Oh, I was full screen before sharing the slides. That's really good. I can't remember. No, I'm in gallery view, not speaker view. But that's just put Mandy's iPhone at the front. Like, why doesn't it put me at the front? So weird. Speaker view, dynamic gallery, immersive. Oh, we're just going to go back to this one. It's because when it records my screen, I'm as small as you guys, and I want to be bigger when the slides are not off, but it's just not doing it. It put Mandy to the front. Even though I'm the one speaking, you'd think it would put me at the front, but apparently not. So I've tried, guys, I've tried. Right, does anyone have any questions about menstrual cycles or want to share how they feel in their menstrual cycle that makes you go, oh, okay, I noticed this, um, or anything that you want to share at all? What is that, Mandy? What is that? Like, is that a snake? That was oh, cat's tail. I saw this black thing and I was like, that is not normal. That's hilarious. Right, anybody else? So I definitely notice increased hunger during luteal, especially for the crap fit. This is it. The cravings, that is a thing. Do you know what I mean? It is part and parcel. And I also think I think we notice it on the lead up to women who are about to start their period, but it can also happen while you're on your period. And as a bit of a reminder, when you're on your period, oh, I'm about to lose my voice, hang on. When you're on your period, if you follow that natural cycle, you typically during your highest bleed days, you are burning more energy because your body has another job to do. So you then have two choices. Do I muck in, dig in, stick to my macros if your goal is obviously fat loss? And do I just like ride it out and get through it? And then actually, you probably will then see a bigger drop on the weighing scales than potentially normal. Or if you feel like, God, I'm going to eat an entire tub of Ben and Jerry's, and if I don't satisfy these cravings with just a little bit of something, so no more than a couple of hundred calories of whatever it might be for you, then that might just keep you feeling like, yeah, that's going to keep me going. Now, you then won't get the additional benefits of the extra fat burning, but if it's going to keep you feeling like, yeah, that's kept me on track, then that's still better. So it's just worth being aware. Do I want a little bit to satisfy me, or do I actually want to go for the extra gains? And each period might be different as well. Some months you might feel like you can dig in, other months you might go, no, I really can't. I just need something to tide me over. Chocolate cravings, yeah, that's a big one. And it could be a different craving for every single one of you of different things. This is where, again, you've got to make a decision. Can I have a little bit of something and then park it? Or if I go and buy it, am I going to eat like a huge fucking volume of this stuff and I'm just going to undo all of my hard work that I've put into leading up to it? So you've kind of got to decide. Now, for me, if you can't just have a little bit, you might be better off just not having it in the house altogether in that window of opportunity. But the dark chocolate seems to be quite a big hit for quite a lot of you, I would say. A lot of you guys can have like a couple of dark chocolate squares a day, and actually it does. Mandy's face, I know. I don't actually really like chocolate, so I'm not a good judge of character for chocolate. I'm trying to think. I really like crisp. So if you were to give me like, I don't know, a dry version of a crisp, it probably wouldn't make me feel great. But again, horses for courses. Dark chocolate actually does have a lot of benefits in it as well. There is that. But yeah, it's probably not going to slap in the same way as like, I don't know, a galaxy, whatever. But you've just got to decide what works for you. I crave all food, lol, all day, every day. What's wrong with me? No, that's probably not true. So I'm going to throw some shade on that statement and say, no, no, that's not true. But we might need to look at your protein levels on this because it might well be that they're just not high enough because protein is the highest satisfying food macro group that there is. So if your protein is not high enough, then you might feel like, God, I'm still hungry, I'm still hungry, I'm still hungry. Also, if you keep coming in and out of a caloric deficit, and what I mean by that is you're really good Monday through Friday, then the weekend you might undo it a bit, or you might undo it next Tuesday or Thursday, but then you're good on a Tuesday and a Friday, blah, 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 blah. If you keep doing that, you are going to keep doing this. As in, you're going to spike your hunger, then it's a spike, and then and whereas when you stay in a calorie deficit for long enough, you are going to reduce your twitch response rates. I explain this so often to the women whose checking I do, but like I'm not in a calorie deficit right now, and I say this all the time. I talk with my hands. I'm very like facially like I do a lot of facial expressions. I blink a lot. My eyebrows move like do you know, if I had Botox, you wouldn't even know what I was doing. So, but when you're in a calorie deficit, what happens is your body starts to conserve energy, but only when it recognizes that you've been doing it consistently, usually around 10 days or longer. Otherwise, it's still waiting for you to feed it. But what it wants to do is go, right, okay, I'm in an energy deficit now. I'm just going to slow down a little bit. I'm not going to talk with my hands very much. I'm not going to move my eyebrows all the time. God, that's really hard to do. I can't do that one. But I'm not going to blink as much. And what I am going to do, I'm going to burn the energy, but I'm going to save it for my workouts. I'm going to save it for my steps. I'm going to save it when she actually needs me to use it. And I'm not going to waste it on all of these moments in between. I'm just going to calm my energy expenditure down a little bit. But if you're not staying consistent in that deficit, you're going to spike those hunger levels constantly. And this is where we notice your hunger levels should quieten as your twitch response rates also quieten. So that's a bit of a key. If you feel constantly starving, you just might not. But then some women do say that. Like, full truthfully, some women are like, I think about food all the time. Now, I also, so Thomas said to me this morning, I don't know why I was on about this. It was like, you eat like a Scandinavian person. He was listening to all these Scandinavian parenting techniques. Montessori, is it, or whatever? And he was like, you're basically, and I do have Scandinavian family, but he was like, you eat little and often all the time. So I'm not as, I do have, I'd probably say a bigger evening meal, but I just like to pick at everything. I like to just eat little bits and pieces as I'm going throughout the day. And I do not snacks in like a chocolate bar. I'm not likely to do that. And I was saying to this to one of the women the other day, but I am likely to sit there with my salsa and my carrot sticks. Or I am likely to sit there with like, do you know what I mean? Like a protein yogurt or something. Like I'm likely you would see me do that a lot throughout the day. So that might be another thing. Some women are just not built for like 3 meals a day without the bits in between. You might actually want to bring it down a bit, but then allow yourself some of the snackier bits. I also talked in my story about whole foods are going to go further. Some of you guys are going, oh my God, 1,500 calories is really hard. It shouldn't be that hard. It truly, some of you guys are on lower than that, and I've done lower than that as well. Like it should be manageable, but not if you're having. So this was a great example a while ago where we saw a client where she had it was like a chicken burger, but then it's breaded on the outside, plus the burger bun, plus the chips. You kind of going, that's not going to go very far. And there's nothing wrong with that food, but it is going to be higher in calories. Whereas if you actually just have a chicken breast and then potatoes, and then you have salad or vegetables or anything like that, it's going to give you the volume. Like my dinner tonight was probably not high calories. It was steak, mushrooms and tomatoes that were roasted in balsamic vinegar with a little bit of garlic on in the oven. Chef's kiss. Those things are delicious. Potatoes just made in the air fryer. So I parboil. I buy, by the way, what are they? The baby potatoes, new potatoes. The ones with the really thin skin on, and I just chop them up quite small, and I parboil them, and then I chuck them in the air fryer. Like you don't even need to put anything on them, and they turn into really good roast potatoes. And then what was the other thing? Peas, really high in protein. You know what I mean? Again, so my plate was like 50% veggies, probably a little bit over 25%. That steak was actually quite big. It was really good. And then, excuse me, the potatoes. So that's going to go a long way. And I'm not saying you have to eat steak every night, but again, you could have salmon, you could have tuna, you could have chicken, you could have turkey, you could have. We actually got some gammon steaks from Aldi the other week. They were really surprisingly low in calories. I thought they would be a lot higher, and yeah, I thought they were amazing. So look at those. It isn't unbearable hunger. I just think it about I think about it a lot. I think it's partly down to being worried about missing a meal, which is a learned behavior of parents saying you have to finish everything on your plate. It makes total sense because if I had a pound for every single woman that I do the initial consultation call with who has said the same thing to me, that their parents taught them that they cannot leave the table until every single morsel of food is off their plate, I would be a very wealthy woman right now. So that feeling of, and it has created a subconscious food, it's a food loop, it's a feedback loop to tell yourself, I've got to finish it. And a really great way of trying to overcome that kind of thing is to actually leave a little bit of food. It might be one pea. You might leave a single pea on your plate and you put it in the bin and you walk away and you leave it. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? And you just start to say, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to finish everything on my plate. Now, I do like to finish everything. I don't actually love food waste as a person. Like it bothers me. And we will try and maximize all food, but not in a gluttonous way, not in a overreaching way of going, God, fucking hell, I'm full. And if I am full, I will leave it. Do you know what I mean? I will leave it. But what I'll tend to do is overcook anyway. And that's another way to get over it. Over make the food, and then it's your lunch the next day. So even if I don't finish a plate, I can just have it for my lunch the next day. So again, it's another trick of going, right, okay, that works because I'm deliberately overcooking everything. And if I don't finish something on my plate, like when we went camping, the baby moon thing last week, we didn't camp. I don't know why I said that. But that, Thomas, if you saw in one of the photos I shared, the fucking amount of rice that boy put on my dish, I was like, the fuck do you think I am? Like, I can't eat all of that rice. But we just scraped it into, and maybe that's gross, I don't know, but we just scraped it into the leftover chili. And again, we just had it the next day. Do you know what I mean? And that was fine. I didn't need to eat all of the rice just because he put it on my plate. It just went into the batch cook, and then we had it again the next day because we are batch cookers and we wanted to maximize time not cooking. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that probably is a little bit of what's going on. But it's really healthy to recognize it. It's really healthy to be able to say, this is what's happened, but I'm just going to do a couple of little tweaks, a couple of little things to just play around with it. So I can just break that psychology down and go that, you know what, I don't need to feel that way. I can feel differently about the food that's on my plate. And I can make sure that my protein is high and I can recognize, but it also trying to recognize, is it because you're stressed? Is it because you're bored? Is it because food has always been a crutch? And we kind of just need to pull back on that and just go, actually, food is my fuel. It fuels my body, but I don't need to be obsessed with it. Like I can actually have a healthy relationship with food and feel good about that. Right, any more for any more? Form checks. What else sometimes comes up? I think I was good on my updates and announcements. So yeah, just if you guys have got anything else, like I say, this is your time, by the way, and I will stay here as long as I need to cover anything off. And if you are struggling, like I put in my thing this morning, if you are struggling with anything and you think, right, I really want some guidance on this, this is always a safe space. This is always a no judgment area. And if anyone I were to ever find out does judge, they would be leaving the program so fucking quickly because I will not tolerate anything like that. Do you know what I mean? This is your guys' opportunity to ever go through anything if you want a bit more time on something. Even if we have to hang on afterwards, do you know what I mean? That's fine. We'll do it. Otherwise, I'm going to assume everyone is grand and you're all amazing and you're all going to have a fucking fantastic week because nobody has got any issues and none of you are struggling with anything at all. That's the case, is it? We'll find out on Wednesday. Right, so I'll be going to get the hoodies tomorrow, so I will be a little bit slower on replying to people. So just bear with me. But yeah, we'll definitely do the midweek stalky stalks on Wednesday. Again, we're looking at certain people. We color code basically, just to give you an insight into what goes on in the background. We color code off the back of check-ins, who's moving in the right direction, who do we think needs a bit more guidance, and this, that, and the other. Now, you might have a great week, so you might not be in our color coding, so we might not be looking at you in that Wednesday midweek stalky stalk. We might be thinking that person is great, they're smashing it, they don't need that guidance, we're going to give it to someone else that does. You might slip in that time. So you must reach out. If you think, fuck, something has happened, I need that, and you don't have to fucking wait until Wednesday. If you shit the bed tomorrow, fucking tell us tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? We'll come back to you as soon as we can, okay? So, yeah, just a few reminders there. But have an incredible week, and we will see you all very soon. Love the attendance, by the way. Well done, legends.